A busy night of severe weather along the East Coast from New York to South Carolina, where we have severe thunderstorm and tornado watches in play, and a number of severe thunderstorm warnings, along with the occasional tornado warning that's popped up this evening. We'll have all of that and more ahead on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is brought to you by. Let's give me a second here. Let's see. I'm sorry, just give me a moment. I'm having issues. Yeah, nothing like feedback. Here we go. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area with all the mulch you could possibly need this coming spring. And I say this coming because we have to at least try to string a couple of warm days back to back, so we haven't really done that yet. But there's plenty of mulch and plenty of topsoil, and the mulch just comes in different colors along with everything you could possibly need to do a spring cleanup or landscape your yard, or possibly both. So if you're a landscaper or a do-it-yourselfer, head over to Omni. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website, as we all know, is
OmniTrueValue.com.
yes,
Joe.
yes, it is. So we've got a busy severe weather night here. The SBC had me on my toes all day. So this morning I waited till after they put their forecast out. Fine. They kind of expanded the slight risk, which I sort of expected and anticipated. Not a problem. Then they expanded. Then they added the enhanced risk at midday. Then they expanded the tornado risk to up to 5% from 2% and expanded that area. So I was, essentially trying to play catch up with them, but at least we've been saying all along that we were probably going to see this severe weather extended, at least from the forecast standpoint, that the risk areas were going to get extended and added, and that they did. So now we wait and see what's happening. And Joe Rayo's got the radars all set to go. In the meantime, I just want to update you on what's happening here. We do have a tornado warning that's up for another 10 minutes in Carroll County in Maryland. Tornado located, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Littlestown, or 7 miles north of Westminster, moving northeast at 30. There's another one in North Carolina in Beaufort, Craven, Jones, and Pamlico counties. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Tuscarora, or 11 miles west of Newbern. Newbern, I know, moving northeast at 45. And then there were a slew of tornado warnings, one in Pennsylvania, in Lackawanna, Susquehanna, and Wayne counties. Also, the rest looked to be mostly in North Carolina. There was one earlier about 5 hours ago in Maryland and West Virginia, so that was more in western Maryland and Allegheny and Mineral counties. And then a number of tornado warnings that were up in Virginia itself earlier today, but those have all expired. And I'm just going to go ahead, Joe. I'm going to check on what severe thunderstorm warnings are up, and you can go ahead and run through some of the radars if you would.
All right. Well, we have right now on the screen, we have DOX, Dover Air Force Base. That's down in Delaware. And you can see a long, snaky-like but intense line of showers and scattered thunderstorms edging in from the north and west. And this line is looking like it's holding together pretty good. And it probably will pass across Wilmington, Delaware, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and on into western sections of New Jersey, probably within the next 60 to 90 minutes. You see Reading here where my cursor is, and Wilmington, Delaware here, and Philadelphia in this area here. And it's moving at a pretty good clip as well. So we'll be watching for activity from that. Let me take a look and see New York. I think we had New York up a few moments ago. Most of the activity is still well west out of the field of view of the radar, which is not specifically at New York City, but is located out here over in Upton, New York, just before the Twin Forks. You can see some significant cell activity that's building in from the west over toward northwestern sections of New Jersey, or New Guernsey, as Joe likes to call it. And even a bit of a line here. This is actually part, I guess, of that narrow line that I just pointed out on the Philadelphia radar. Let's take out Albany, get a different perspective, and go up the Hudson Valley way up on I-87. Here's Albany, and there you see that line, and you can see that it's just about, well, right there. It's happening right now, if this is correct, over Albany. Tim Veltman probably could verify that to some degree, and continues on a south-southwesterly course, again, working its way down and into northeastern Pennsylvania to just north and west of Port Jervis. It kind of breaks up and it turns into like one mass of green here. The kind of lose the effect of the line. Let me just look here at Binghamton, and you can see that really is where the line shows up quite well. And in fact, Joe, it almost looks like at the beginning of the loop, it almost looks like that there's some curvature here and here. Almost looks like hook echoes. I do know, thanks to my brother-in-law Richard Mecklow, that there was a tornado warning approximately up here in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania about an hour ago, and that may have been because of this line. And you see now, just it's more or less a straight line. But notice again, as I said at the beginning of the loop, we have not quite a line. We have actually, they almost look like miniature question marks here and here. And that may have been why the National Weather Service was compelled to issue tornado warnings up in this section of Pennsylvania. So it is active. It looks like from the way this is all moving that we're probably, at least in my vicinity, in Putnam County or Putnam Valley, we'll probably have to wait another couple of more hours before this activity works its way into my neck of the woods. And perhaps by then it'll be not quite as robust as what we're seeing here, because what we're seeing here, especially at the beginning of the loop, from Binghamton, was just about at the peak heating for the day. And considering that, Joe, it was mainly cloudy, we didn't have very much in the way of sunshine. Had we had sunshine, my goodness, this whole area probably would have taken off in terms of bubbling or percolating, so to speak. But even without the sun, this is still a fairly significant line. You pointed out that the folks at the Storm Prediction Center actually blocked off most of the eastern part of Pennsylvania in enhanced or possible enhanced activity. And indeed, from what we're seeing here from this line, that certainly may have been a very good call.
Can you pull up the radar, please, from either Cape Hatteras or Morehead City or Wilmington, North Carolina, because we've got a tornado warning that going on even as we speak, Joe. So if you could check,
okay, well,
you could check that out. In the meantime,
this is Morehead City right now that we have up on the
you have
on
it
the
on
screen.
the screen. Perfect.
Yeah, there it is. And I guess this is what they're watching, right? It looks like a fairly significant area right here.
This is the tornado warning that they have for. Let's see, where did it go? This is going to expire in 3 minutes. This is the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Tuscarora, or 11 miles west of New Bern, North Carolina, moving northeast at 45. So those counties again were Beaufort, Craven, Jones, and Pamlico counties in North Carolina. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. I know I should remember how to pronounce it, but I'm 63 and I can't even tell you what I had for dinner 2 hours ago. But I'm sure somebody in the comment section, not necessarily on the chat board, but someone in the comment section from that area is waiting to correct me with the pronunciation. And again, if I got it wrong, I did it both ways, so I know one of them is incorrect. At the moment, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. So now these are getting close to western New Jersey. So northwest New Jersey, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for a thunderstorm near Strausstown, or 10 miles northeast of Myerstown in Pennsylvania, moving east at 65 miles an hour. This impacts Berks, Carbon, Lehigh, and Northampton counties in Pennsylvania. We have another severe thunderstorm warning. Uh, Oh, a new one's popped up. Okay, just have a new severe thunderstorm warning now, and this is in Maryland. This is a severe thunderstorm along a line extending from 6 miles west of Manchester to Westminster Westminster to near Gamber, moving east at 50 miles an hour. And these include the counties of Baltimore, Carroll, and Harford counties in Maryland. So busy there. And one other one still in play is a severe thunderstorm warning in Pennsylvania, with a thunderstorm located along a line extending from Fredericksburg to Littlestown, moving northeast at 65. These storms are moving like rocket ships, and if you're in line with these thunderstorms that are moving so quickly, the momentum alone is going to
Right.
create wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, we said that last night. It's at the forward speed of these things, as you said, Joe, almost rocket-like, and that will loan itself to whatever damaging winds are already occurring. Factor in those forward wind speeds, and you will get quite a bit of damage. And
Yes.
you could see the line. I mean, this is the view from Washington D.C., Sterling, Virginia, and you see that line quite clearly, moving along at a very rapid pace across the central and western sections of Maryland, and that's going to be loaded for bear. As you just said, Baltimore is or Balmer, if you're a native, is in line for some of that activity very soon. So it looks like it's going to be a very active evening down in the Washington-Baltimore area because of that line of showers and storms.
Yeah, we're down to one tornado watch now from the Storm Prediction Center in northeastern North Carolina, where we saw that tornado warning near New Bern just a few moments ago. That extends on up into the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. Two severe thunderstorm watches. The one that covers much of Pennsylvania, did cover much of central and eastern Pennsylvania. Now just a sliver in northeastern Pennsylvania. A little more coverage as you go down to south central and down into northern Virginia. And then, of course, you have the severe thunderstorm watch that is up for eastern PA to the Jersey state line, all of New Jersey except the southernmost counties, Atlantic and Cape May, and the Hudson Valley, all the way up to Albany. But New York City is just outside the watch area. Philadelphia and Baltimore are inside their respective watch areas, as is Washington, D.C. So New York City is just sitting on the edge. I often would say that if you're right on the edge of the boundary of the severe thunderstorm watch, it's probably a good idea to pay attention to what's going on the radar, because sometimes those storms will hold their strength, and while there's no official watch, you still wind up getting rocked as those storms cross the other side. However, I do think that as they cross New York City and to Long Island and southern and southeastern New England, those storms are going to weaken away from their severe levels. They'll be just general thunderstorms with some heavy rain that'll go by and maybe a bit of a gusty wind or two. But I don't think the severity is going to hold. A, because we'll be past sunset. B, the wind has been strong south-southwest off the ocean all day, and that's held those temperatures down.
Right, absolutely. It's going to be like those storms are going to be like hitting a wall, so to speak. Our friends, for example, Dennis Cassia, who's in Connecticut, he, I think, is right inside of the marginal risk of severe weather. And then it very quickly drops off the general coverage. I was particularly up in the northern area, let's say north of Albany. They actually had let's say the slight chance, the marginal risk zone, and the general thunderstorm zone all crammed into one little sector, which couldn't have been, Joe, more than 10 or 15 miles. So I mean, like, in essence, once you cross over into that cool, unstable air to the north and to the northeast, your chances of seeing any convection drop off significantly. So you can go from the potential threat of slight risk to nothing in along this boundary zone up north and east over a span of only 5, 10, 15 miles. But in New York City proper,
excuse me,
the New York area, the lower Hudson Valley, you're in the area of slight. And then all you have to do is get on I-80, go on the Delaware Water Gap, and cross over as you go west, cross over from New Jersey into Pennsylvania, and you're right in the zone for enhanced precipitation or enhanced convection. And if you take a look at that line, that narrow line, as we speak now, it is now edging toward Northwest Jersey, Port Jervis, that area. That is an example of what potentially is enhanced thunderstorm activity. And it's also, I think, they have in that enhanced zone a 5% probability of tornadic activity. So, the everything is out there, and everything is ripe for nasty convection, and that'll be the story probably for at least the next couple of more hours.
Here's a strange special marine warning. Let me see, where exactly is this? Hold on, because they didn't give me the.
Lake
Uh,
Os
obviously,
Lake
there's
Oscowana.
no. Oh, actually, this is off the Delmarva Peninsula, the southern part of Delaware, the southern part of the Delaware coast, and then further south into the Maryland and Virginia part of the Delmarva Peninsula. Uh, there's a special marine warning that was issued 2 minutes ago and expires about an hour from now. It's a severe thunderstorm capable of producing waterspouts located 51 nautical miles east of Marineland. I've never don't know where Marineland is, or 53 nautical miles northeast of Ormond by the Sea, moving northeast at 45. I'm just wondering why they're referencing points so far offshore. I mean, obviously those storms are out offshore. Uh, I would like to think that no one's out there in their boat, 51 miles out into the open waters of the Atlantic right now, coming back from a fishing trip. Especially after today with
No,
that screaming southwest wind, I would think that hopefully there's no one out there. That's all I can say. And yeah, there's nothing else new from the warning standpoint since the last one that I mentioned about the storms down in Maryland for Baltimore, Carroll, and Harford counties. Can you give me back control?
yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay.
You have control. You have control back.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's take a look at what the NAM, I'm sorry, the HRRR is doing. This is the monitoring all of this on tornadohq.com. By the way, David Fuller hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, David, for hitting the tip jar. And also last night, Leon Probitsky hit super chat, and I forgot to mention it before the show was over. So thank you, Leon, from last night for hitting super chat. So the HRRR has been kind of handling this pretty well. As it turned out, we were trying to decide yesterday, is it going to be a line? Is it going to be clusters? And at least so far, it's a line, but then it kind of dissolves into clusters. And in fact, if you watch what the HRRR is doing, it holds the line. This is at the shot that's up there right now is at 10 p.m. So the cells themselves are racing along at rocket ship speed, but the line is not really moving all that fast. So by 10 o'clock, it's It's moved into northwest Jersey. So between 9 and 10, and the cells become a little bit more disorganized after that. In fact, by the time we get to midnight, much of the heavier activity has pretty well disappeared. And in fact, it doesn't even just the remnants make it to New York City, at least according to the HRRR. And then there's one last little couple of clusters of showers around 4 or 5 a.m. that move through northern New Jersey, New York City, and into Connecticut. Doesn't really produce very much. And then after that, we go on to Friday dayside with slightly improving weather conditions. Although you'll notice there's some instability developing during a Friday morning in parts of upstate New York and in eastern Pennsylvania because we have the upper trough coming through. And I put in the chance that there could be a couple of passing showers for tomorrow with that upper trough going by.
And with that upper trough moving on through, again, Friday, not a bad day, but unfortunately, because of that little patch of instability, there'll still be a couple of light showers around, even in the afternoon, and some cameo appearances by the sun. Sun will be putting in some brief views as well during the day on Friday. And of the upcoming weekend, looks like Saturday's the winner, Joe. Lots of sunshine on Saturday, then another little minor disturbance coming in, which may induce a couple of light showers during the day on Sunday.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that it would run through during the early morning hours on Sunday and maybe be gone uh, soon enough so that perhaps weather conditions could start to improve Sunday afternoon with decreasing clouds from west to east. I was looking at today's guidance and I thought, well, I'm not so sure now if that's going to happen or not. But we'll hold out some hope that it does for the second half of the weekend. I just want to let's bring up the satellite loop and our storm, the actual surface storm, which is in the upper Great Lakes, has already pretty much reached its peak. It's actually reached its peak intensity last night with the severe weather that moves across the south. By the way, by the time those storms got to me, uh, the rain part of it was substantial. It poured uh, for a number of hours during the early morning hours up until about maybe 7 or 8 a.m. and then it shut off. But
Did you
I
have the
I didn't
Did you have
hear
the
any.
nail?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say. I was just going to ask you that. Did you have the nail effect? In other words, did it sound at one point like somebody was pouring a barrel of nails on your roof?
Well,
That's
I have a metal roof,
uh-huh.
so it sounds like somebody's up there with a jackhammer,
Huh.
let alone a nail. But yeah, it gets pretty loud when it's raining hard. Thankfully, I sleep fairly deeply, so I did wake up from the rain. So if I wake up and it's then you know the rain was really heavy because I would have probably slept right through it otherwise. Here's your satellite loop. The signature on the satellite, this is a very large system, but since we're past the peak stage, the lows occluded out, so you're starting to see it has a bit more of a disjointed look than what it did yesterday when those big storms were rolling across the central Gulf states. And fortunately, at least from the standpoint of the short and medium term, we don't have a follow-up system to worry about through the weekend and the early next week. Other than minor ones, other than the upper trough for tomorrow and then the weak system for Saturday night into Sunday, there's nothing major as far as severe weather is concerned down the road. And of course, the drier air is coming in behind it, which is great for the southern states. But again, that upper low over the Great Lakes is going to make things a little bit more complicated tomorrow with clouds with some maybe some self-destructive sunshine, as Joe always likes to put it, and the chance that there could be a couple of showers. Here's the wide radar view from the Weather Service, and you'll notice also tonight we have a separate line of showers and thunderstorms over Florida, where we do have over northern and central Florida, where we do have severe weather risk of, I believe it was marginal to slight risk. That is playing out at the moment, though we don't have any warnings to speak of. And at least down in Florida, there's a special marine warning offshore there. But there's a line, looks like it's south of Jacksonville and north of Daytona Beach. It's in between that zone on the east side and north of Tampa and well to the southeast of Panama City, uh, I'm trying to remember some of the smaller cities that are around on the coastal bend there of Florida, and none seem to come to mind at the moment. But that's the southern end of all of this. And again, here's the look of the storms that are right now going through eastern North Carolina. The severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning that were up that we mentioned earlier have expired. By the way, it's 7:57 Eastern Time. If you're watching this on a replay, obviously all of this is dated, so please go to your local National Weather Service forecast page for the latest weather information regarding not only severe weather, but any other weather that may be going on, and you can do that by going to weather.gov. A little bit of snow shower activity going on up in the northern lakes there, Mr. Rayo, and some rain showers down further south into Tennessee and western Kentucky. A little bit of activity here in the northern and central Rockies, and even down into parts of New Mexico. The west coast is fairly quiet except for a few scattered light showers coming into coastal Washington and coastal Oregon. So let's look at the GFS here going forward. And there's the weak system for Saturday night into Sunday. You can see there's a low there in northern Indiana that goes into Ohio and basically passes over Pennsylvania and New York State. It's very weak. It's got a little arm of showers that comes in during the early morning hours on Sunday. This is at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. A little bit of snow up there in upstate New York, and then it's gone. I don't know how much improvement you're going to get because sometimes the weak systems you wind up improving a lot slower because they are weak. They're not organized. The clouds may be more spread out. There's lingering moisture. You don't have the push and the strength of a stronger storm. Usually cleans house much more effectively. So that's why we'll probably have clouds lingering around. There's another weak disturbance on Monday that drops down into the Great Lakes. That looks to produce maybe a shower Monday night into Tuesday morning. And now we have something coming up on Tuesday that comes out of the southern plains with some rain and maybe the potential for a little severe weather there in the Gulf states again, in Alabama and Georgia and Florida, along about late Tuesday night into Wednesday. That low runs up toward Illinois and lifts up rain here during the day on Wednesday. Actually, a fairly solid area of rain. I didn't look at what the upper air looks like, but there's a fairly solid area of rain that comes in for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast on Wednesday, and then it's gone. I'm sorry, Tuesday night, and then it's all but gone by Wednesday afternoon. It's out of New York City by Wednesday evening. It's out of southern New England, and I mean it just kind of has that early spring look, Joe. Big storms, some big surface storms, tracking from west to east, close to the Canadian border. Uh, they don't really, we don't have any nor'easters to deal with or anything like that. So it's pretty much whatever we've had, we keep having. It just keeps on going.
And Tom Contino on the chat board is asking me. He says, any shot that the polar vortex has one more strengthening?
It's
Actually, the
over.
last time I looked at the 10 millibar,
It's gone.
it looked like we had like two polar vortices, like one over far northern Canada and one over Siberia, if you will. But they would kind of elongated and flattened out, and with time, they kind of merged together into one semi-meaningless circular or circulation over where you expect a polar vortex to be, over the polar regions. But it doesn't seem like there's very much in the way of any cold air that we could tap into from either one of those systems. And so if you're hoping for, you know, anything dynamic coming down from the polar regions as we move into April, that does not look like it's going to be the case. I think we had our one big push, if you will, of frigidity at the beginning of this week when we started off this week with thicknesses of like 505 here in the tri-state area,
Right.
and those cold temperatures. Now things, it's almost as if now much of the northern regions are moderating a bit. At least that's how it looks for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Too much cold air, too much northwest flow, and no storms around. That's There was a perfect case of what happens when you're too deep into the cold air. So you had all this cold air, and you didn't have the pattern set up correctly for a storm to bring snow. That's just how it happens some of the time. We've got a new severe Yes, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Lancaster, Lebanon, and York counties in Pennsylvania. Severe thunderstorm located over Marietta, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. This will expire. It's 8:03, so it'll expire at 8:30. And that cell is. Let's see if I can get a close-up view here. I'm thinking, yeah, it's that. This is down near Baltimore, so it's in that the severe thunderstorm box that's not the one that's near the bottom of the screen, but the middle one. That is, and you can see how where the strong cells that are standing out here from Scranton to just west of Allentown to just to the east of Harrisburg, and then running south southwest from there into Maryland, north and west of Baltimore and Columbia, very close to the Washington D.C. Baltimore area. Uh, yeah, the line is going to in another 2 hours. That line's going to start to fall apart. So it'll be interesting to see how far east these storms get before they start to weaken.
Can you pronounce the? I guess it's by. It looks like by order, lady. Is that how you? Byerlady on the chat board. By order, lady.
Yes.
But we thank you for hitting the chat, the super chat tonight.
Oh, thank you very much. She knows her stuff. She knows Tony Gigi and a few of the other folks from Mount Holly. So I'm glad to see her on the chat board, and thank you for hitting a super chat tonight. I don't know if those storms may make it to you up in Northwest Jersey.
And did we mention David Fuller hitting super chats?
Yes, I did. I saw.
Oh, okay.
I certainly did. And
probably when I was asleep.
Last night I forgot. Yes, last night I forgot to mention that Leon had hit super chat. But I did mention it tonight. I don't know if he's watching tonight. I'm going to pull up the upper air just to take a quick look at what's going on down the road. Oh, there goes the circle of death again, round and round and round.
Joe, Tom Contino, Joe wants to know if there's any chance we can get Pat Pagano on our air.
Well, you know,
I'm not really. I'm not really. I know Pat from his days at Walk. He still is at Walk, WALK out on Long Island, and he used to do. You and he, not simultaneously or at the same time. You and he at one time were doing the weather for WHLI out in Hempstead.
Yeah, no,
he came before
I know Pat
you.
also.
Whatever.
I'll reach out to him, but I don't know. I don't see him on Facebook very often. Every once in a while I do see him there, but I don't see him on Facebook very often. But I'll reach out to them, see if I can set something up. But
let me see if I could still do my Pat Pagano imitation.
Oh, be nice.
This is meteorologist. I'm trying to do an imitation. This is meteorologist Pat Pagano, WALK, Walk 97.5.
Yeah. I'm not. He used to be on all day. I don't know if he's on all day anymore. I can remember back. I seem to remember back at some point they got rid of the weather after the morning drive, and they just kind of left it the rest of the day.
Yeah,
you didn't hear anything.
And that's
just how radio
the sad
is.
part. That's the sad part about radio today. And somebody asked me after being set aloft or set aside by the shuttering of FiOS One News. A couple of people said, "Well, why don't you go back on radio? You started on radio. We remember listening to you." Yeah, but that was back in the 70s and 80s. And you're absolutely right, Joe. Today, this is what they do. They in the morning drive, and they usually have a man and a woman. Most radio stations now, they have a man and a woman doing morning drive. They play records, they do an interview, and then every once in a while they'll check the traffic and weather. And once that goes bye-bye at 9 o'clock, that's it. That's the last you'll hear of weather, unless maybe you might hear it again briefly for evening drive. But you're right. Back in the day, there were radio stations that used to run weather like every half hour that you'd hear the weather forecast. The weathercaster would talk about whatever. And you don't hear that anymore because they're too busy, they being the radio stations, taking what was that time for weather and traffic and information and everything and jamming 2 or 3 more commercials in to make a couple of extra bucks. It really is not like it was
And they also
back in the good old days.
They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay somebody the money. That's the other thing.
That's right.
They don't want to pay.
That's right.
They don't want to pay the money. In the rare instances that there are weather people that are on the air in the radio stations, chances are they're selling their own radio time. So they have to not only do the weather, but then they have to go out and be a salesman to get sponsors for their radio casts. So yeah, it's
right.
that world is long gone. But we should mention, by the way, because I did see this on Facebook. Um, I believe it was either yesterday or today. A big happy birthday to Dr. Frank Field, 99 years old today.
Oh my
99.
goodness! Wow.
We should all live long and happy lives to the age of 99. And I saw a picture of him. He looks great. And if I hope maybe somebody can get word to him. Happy birthday to someone who Joe and I both grew up with, an absolute gentleman, unlike some people. I'm not referring to Joe. I'm referring to some other people. An absolute gentleman, and encouraged me in the pursuit of my career, and I have nothing but good things to say.
In the 60s, when Johnny Carson and The Tonight Show were based in New York, this is before Carson moved out to California, it was very normal for Frank Field to occasionally make an appearance on The Tonight Show. And in fact, there one time I remember Johnny was asking Ed, he says, when does spring arrive officially? What is the exact time? And about a minute or two later, Ed McMahon comes back and says, it arrives at like 11:37. He said, that's according to Dr. Frank Field. And Johnny would look at the camera and says, oh, that's according to Frank Field? And they looked and he says, do you think maybe we can get another source, get a second opinion on that? And this is Joe, this is the absolute, I was laughing for 5 minutes. And this must have been like 1967 or 68. And I was up late. Those days I didn't stay up to watch the 11 o'clock news. But I was only like 11 years old. But I'm watching Frank Field do the weather. This was live now on Channel 4. And he had a pointer. Remember that? He used to use a pointer, and he used to point to what looked like a big television screen. On the screen there was his weather map.
You know that he got that pointer from Sister Charles Edwards, just so you know. She used it during the day. She used it during the day, and then she would lend it to him graciously to use it on the show at night. Go on. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist that one.
He's doing the weather with the pointer, and all of a sudden, who walks onto the set but Johnny Carson? Now, here's Johnny Carson sharing the screen now with Frank Field, and Frank Field just keeps talking. He's using the pointer. He said, and high pressure is going to be moving into the Great Lakes area. And all of a sudden, Johnny takes the pointer from Frank Field, and he breaks the pointer over his knee, and then hands it back to Frank Field. And Frank just kept going. He didn't say anything about thank you, Johnny, or whatever like that. He just kept going. And then after he broke the pointer and handed it back to Frank Field, Johnny Carson just walked off the set. That was that. And what's even funnier was when he finished his weather and he walked back to the desk, nobody at the desk would say anything about the fact that Johnny Carson was here or something like that. I think it was, you remember Jim Hartz? Jim Hartz was the anchor at that time. And it was just hilarious. It was almost like Johnny just walked on, and he was deadpan look on his face.
Yep.
And he just took the pointer, broke it, handed it back to Frank Field.
Too funny.
Oh God, that was so funny. One time Frank got in trouble with the NBC corporate people. And it was the fault of somebody I worked with at News 12. At News 12, we had a director named Arnie Reef, who for many, many years was at NBC. And in fact, Arnie proudly, in his office at News 12, he must have had like 5 or 6 Emmys. And I'm not talking about the Emmys you get today. Back in the day, the Emmys were like gigantic. And Arnie proudly had like 5 or 6 of these in his office. And he was directing NBC Channel 4 News in the evening. And Frank Field apparently went for a major snowstorm, a big snowstorm for the tri-state area. The next day, what happened? New York ended up with more rain than snow and hardly got any accumulation. And before the show started, Arnie, who lived over in Sloatsburg in Rockland County, told Frank Field, well, they didn't have much here, but I had about 8 inches of snow out in front of my driveway. So they throw the weather to Frank Field, and Frank is like talking about the weather, and like, well, we didn't get the snow that we thought that we would get here in New York. However, our director, Arnie Reef, told me that he got quite a bit of snow up his way in Rockland County. Isn't that true, Arnie? And over the loudspeaker, you heard Arnie say, I don't know what you're talking about, Frank. I got nothing, just like here in New York. And like Frank is like standing there like what the? Well, he got into trouble. He and Arnie, they got into trouble with the corporate people. Arnie told me that the people at NBC wrote a letter of censure for Frank Field and for Arnie, basically saying, don't kid around like that. You know, this is the news. The news needs to be
serious, like it is.
I guess it.
Like it is today.
Yeah, serious. They didn't say anything.
Like it is today.
Of course, when Johnny Carson walked on the set and broke Frank Field's pointer, right, that was nothing. You know, but there was a bit of a ruffling of the feathers of the corporate offices.
Johnny Carson was also responsible for the vast majority of revenue for NBC back in the 70s. So you know what? You're not going to mess with him at all.
And another time, you remember when Frank Field used to bring his dog Winston?
Yes.
On the air, he had a dog. It was like a pug, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Winston the weather dog, they called him. And on New Year's Eve, Jim Hartz or whoever was the anchor was asking Frank Field, "Are you going to bring Winston on to celebrate New Year's tonight?" And he says he's going to wear his little tuxedo. Tune in at 11 o'clock, and you'll see Winston in his tuxedo. Well, in between shows, the NBC management said, "You bring that dog on one more time.
Right.
You can't do that." And
I remember
and he had to explain that. That was a big thing. Like it made page 6 of the New York Post. No, they're not allowing Frank Field's dog on his weathercast or whatever. One time, somebody mailed Frank Field some shoe fly pie, and Frank made the mistake of trying it out before it was time for him to do the weather, and he had like a coughing fit. And you talk about, he was the guy who showed everybody how to do the Heimlich maneuver. They had to get somebody to do the Heimlich on Frank on the air.
Yeah,
it was good. But Frank was a living legend, and God bless him. 99 years old. What a great television icon. And let's hope now maybe all the weather people in New York ought to have some kind of a major celebration next year to celebrate Frank Field's 100th. Because after all, we all grew up watching Frank Field.
Yep.
It'd be great.
Okay, so just one last check here. You're in northwest New Jersey. Get ready, because I just noticed there's a severe thunderstorm warning that is up for, where'd it go? It was just here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning now up for Sussex, Warren in northwest New Jersey, Carbon and Monroe on the Pennsylvania side, and Northampton on the Pennsylvania side. A severe thunderstorm located along a line extending from near Peck's Pond to Kresgesville, I guess like the old Kresge store, moving northeast at 75 miles an hour.
Oh, give me a break.
75 miles an hour.
75 miles an hour? Holy.
That's crazy. Leon Probitsky hit Super Chat again tonight, so thank you for last night and thank you for tonight, Leon. Most appreciated. All right, we're going to wrap the show up here. So we'll be back on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Uh, hope
Yes.
everybody has a great Friday and Saturday and a great weekend. We'll be back here Sunday morning and stay safe until these storms finish doing what they're doing and things can normalize for Friday. So have a great night, and Mr. Rayo, you have a great night as well.
You too, sir.
Nighty night, everybody.